I want to talk to you about the physicochemical and bacteriological quality of sachet water used by Ghanaian universities in the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Ghana, the implications for public health. This research was conducted by 3 researchers, one from the Department of Chemistry in the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, the other from School of Geography and the Environment, University of Oxford, UK, and the other researcher is from the African Population and Health Research Center from Nairobi, Kenya. And we give credit to these researchers for putting up such a wonderful work in the aspect of public health regarding the quality of sachet water that is being used by Ghanaian universities. And I think that it deserves full applause. So we have Bismarck Elom Ado from KNUST, Godfred Amankwa from University of Oxford, then Razak JC from Nairobi, Kenya. And they put up this research that analyzed the quality of sachet water consumed by university students in KNUST in Ghana. They analyzed 30 sachet water samples from 10 different brands. So 10 different brands of 30 sachet water samples were then analyzed. They were tested for the physical, bacteriological, and chemical properties of this sachet water. And they used methods and titrometric method as well as the most probable number method for determining the bacterial content in the sachet water. And if you look at the research, this research is very alarming and very eye-opening in the sense that per this research, these 3 researchers, one from Ghana, UK, and Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya, said that the overall 1/2 of the sachet water samples were highly contaminated with total and fecal coliform. What this means is that out of the 30 water samples that they analyzed, half of them, that is 15 of the water samples, were highly contaminated, were fraught with total and fecal coliform. What this means is that when you talk about the total and the fecal coliform, they are the total coliform especially are all the bacteria that can be found in water. So the streptococcus, the staphylococcus, the bacillus, the enteric bacteria, all other bacteria that can be found in water, they are grouped under the total coliform. Then you have the coliforms, which are found in the feces, the fecal coliform. Now these bacteria are found in the gut, that is the human intestine, so the stomach, and they help in the digestion, they help in breakdown of food into soluble products that can easily be absorbed by the body for the use by the cells for health, growth, repair of tissues, and what have you. Yes, so when these bacteria, which are helping and which are beneficial in the breaking down of food in our guts, are found in the water that we drink and also found in our food. I will do another research paper that talks about the quality of vegetables, the quality of the salad, and the quality of food that consumers have been eating. And you also find that this bacteria, this contamination is of a great public health concern to all of us as individuals, and we have to pay critical attention to that. And so half of the water sachet samples which were analyzed by these researchers were fraught with total coliforms and also fecal coliforms. So the 10 brands, one brand which is called DKN, this DKN was fraught with total coliform of 9.15 times 10 to the power 5. That is, putting it in layman's term, it is 915,000 bacteria per 100 ml. So this is the average with bacteria which were found in the brand sachet water called DKN. Now this DKN is a pseudonym that was given by this brand of water by these researchers. So they didn't want to use the actual name of the sachet water, so they used pseudonyms to represent all 10 brands. And one of the brands, which is called DKN, had 915,000 bacteria per 100 ml, which means that if you take one sachet water, which is 500 ml, if you divide it into 5, you get 100 ml. That 100 ml of sachet water contains 915,000 bacteria. Now if you multiply it by 5 to get a 500 ml, you are getting a whopping 4,575,000 bacteria in just one sample, just one sachet water, which is very alarming because students in students in the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology are consuming this water day in and day out because that is the water that is available and as perceived of having a good quality for drinking. And if this sachet water, which is perceived to be of good quality, is containing 4,575,000 bacteria, then it is alarming to all of us, and we should take critical look at the kind of the water that we are consuming as individual. And it also had fecal coliforms. Now I've explained what fecal coliforms are. The fecal coliforms are the bacteria which are found in our feces, and they find themselves in the water that we drink. They also find themselves in the food that we consume, and when it happens that way, it becomes very alarming for all of us, and our health are in great danger. And one of the effects of drinking water which is highly contaminated by fecal coliforms is that you get to get dysentery, you get to get diarrhea, cholera, you get to have itchy skin. Sometimes your skin begins to itch, not because you are using a bad pomade or whatever, but because the water that you are drinking is not good. Even when you use it to even bath, it also has this itchy effect on your skin. Then we also have throat problem. You drink one sachet water or one bottled water, and you end up having throat problem, which is one of the causes of drinking highly contaminated water. And the other one that you also are likely to get acquainted with is urinary tract infection. This urinary tract infection affects everything regarding our urinary system. So the urethra that urine passes in, like, you get a whole lot of infection because of this bacteria that has highly infected the water that we consume. You are also likely to get typhoid. You're also likely to get typhoid because all these are caused by bacteria. Salmonella typhi, which causes typhoid fever, Vibrio cholera, which causes cholera. We have Klebsiella pneumonia. We have Pseudomonas aeruginosa. We have Escherichia coli. All these bacteria in water constitute the total coliform, which are very injurious to human health. Now, this same brand of water, which is called DKN, was also fraught with E. coli. It was also fraught with E. coli. So half of the samples, 15 of the water samples that were analyzed, were fraught with total coliforms, fecal coliforms, and only brand DKN was fraught with Escherichia coli, which is very alarming. Now, when we come to the physical parameters of this sachet water, we have the conductivity. The conductivity range from 2.4 microsiemens to 43.60 microsiemens. When you check the World Health Organization standard for these parameters and the GSA and the FDA water parameters, you would get to know what this means. And I have one here from the Ghana Water Company Limited. So the standard, so they have the WHO guidelines, and then the Ghana Standard Authority also standards, or the guideline for the parameter there. That is the standard for checking the quality of drinking water. Yeah, so that is the abstract of whatever these researchers were able to come by. And I would love to go to the introduction aspects of this research for you to get more insight into that. So this research argues that universal access to safe drinking water, sanitation, and hygiene has become essential for human health and well-being outcomes, which is very true. Yes, in that if you don't get safe drinking water, and if you don't get good sanitation, good hygiene, our health is at risk. We are the mercy of the level of the quality of water we drink and the sanitation and hygiene around us. So in most sub-Saharan African countries like Ghana, waterborne diseases constitute a major public health challenge and poor health among populations in low and middle income countries. So what these researchers are saying, that when it comes to low and middle income countries like Ghana, public health concern is of great challenge to most of us, in that the waterborne diseases is of prevalence, and we are doing much, but the achievement of the dream is far-fetched from us. So the World Health Organization in 2010 noted that the quality of drinking water is an essential environmental determinant of health. It's an essential determinant of the health of individuals. And the same World Health Organization in 2011 estimated that 80% of all diseases episodes in developing countries, 80% of all diseases episodes in developing countries like Ghana are directly or indirectly related to lack of quality potable water. which is very intriguing. Yes, 80% of all disease episodes in developing countries are directly or indirectly related to lack of quality potable water, which means that water is very essential, not only for our health, like water is very essential for our health as well individuals, as WHO is saying that all diseases episodes are related directly or indirectly to the availability of quality potable water. So WHO in 2011 also said that safe drinking water is therefore a basic need for human development. It's a basic need for human development. However, the supply of safe drinking water is being threatened by rapid urban growth in developing countries, including the sub-Saharan African region. This was said by the World Health Organization in 2010. So, because of this deficit in the production of quality drinking water, there has been a production and distribution of drinking water, which is normally called pure water in Ghana. So this sachet water, they have emerged to make up for the clean and safe drinking water deficits in low and middle income countries. And data from the 2014 Ghana Demographic and Health Survey indicates that up to 44.5% of the Ghanaian urban population rely on sachet water. 44.5%. This is coming from the Ghana Statistical Service in 2015. That the analysis that they did in 2014, 44.5% of Ghanaian urban population rely on sachet water, and now we are in 2024. So which means that it has increased from 44.5% to like 80%, because there have been a clogging of sachet water around us. So, like other countries in the sub-Saharan Africa, outbreak of diarrhea diseases including cholera, typhoid fever, may constitute major causes of admission and death in Ghana, which have been associated with the supply of contaminated water, which was a research was done by Odima and Stoller in 2015. So these researchers adduced that, like other countries in the sub-Saharan Africa, typhoid fever, diarrhea, cholera, which are the major causes of admission and death in Ghana, have been associated with drinking contaminated water. Which is very alarming. All living things require water for living, and also for their day-to-day reaction that occurs in their system and also in the individual cells. So drinking this water, which have been highly contaminated and highly polluted with these microorganisms, with these bacteria, poses a great risk to all of us. It poses a great risk to all of us, as the majority of Ghanaians are drinking this sachet water. It poses a direct risk on the health of every individual in Ghana. This research was actually done in the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. So the university students have been drinking a lot of this sachet water, which have been contaminated with fecal coliforms, Escherichia coli, Salmonella typhi, Vibrio cholerae, which are causing a lot of harm and injury to their health. You may be drinking contaminated water and have no effect now, but as time goes on, subsequently you begin to have symptoms and effects associated with drinking with contaminated water, as I have mentioned earlier on. So these researchers stated that studies report that waterborne diseases such as cholera, dysentery, diarrhea, typhoid, and hepatitis. So even hepatitis, wow, hepatitis is even transferred through drinking of contaminated water. So remain widespread at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology and Kumasi in general, causing severe human suffering and also being responsible for many infirmities and death. This is a report by the World Health Organization in 2010 and also the Ghana Statistical Service in 2014, that diarrhea, dysentery, cholera, even hepatitis that were spreading in Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology and Kumasi as a whole is as a result of drinking highly contaminated water. This is what the researchers are saying here. So despite these water quality issues and the concomitant health challenges, sachet water is highly patronized by university students in Ghana and those at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in particular, who perceive sachet water as relatively affordable and wholesome for drinking. So what these researchers are saying, that despite all these bad stroke against sachet water. University students are still purchasing and drinking this sachet water because they perceive it as being affordable than the bottled water and also wholesome for drinking. So in other words, they are drinking this sachet water and oblivion to the effects that contaminated water can do to their health. So with the clogging of university campuses with sachet water, it is indispensably important that the quality of sachet water being offered for sale is ascertained. This may be protective of the health and well-being of the unsuspecting students against potential outbreaks of and increases in waterborne diseases. So we have to ascertain the quality of the sachet water which is being offered for sale for students in most university campuses to avert any potential outbreak and increases in waterborne diseases nowadays. So that is the introduction of the research, and I would like to say something about the methodology of this article or this research by the researchers I just mentioned. And if you are not interested in the methodology, you can skip this part and go to the central theme, the crux of this research, which is the result and discussion aspects of this. So you can skip the methodology. So the methodology, the design and principle. So it was a cross-sectional quantitative research based in Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Kumasi, Ghana. So they did a two-stage cluster sampling. The first stage of the sampling process was a random sampling technique, which was conducted to sample 10 common brands of sachet water in most stores in the JCR, that's the junior common rooms, and also in canteen of a hall of residences on campus. So in all, they were able to sample 10 brands and 10 brands of what the water samples, and they used pseudonyms or their initials. So the initials of the water were used as what pseudonyms to represent the actual brand name of the sachet water. So we have UC, HUD, BOA, PAS, YAF, ANG, NOV, DKN, IM, and PD. IN and PD. The bacteriological analysis of the sachet water sample was done using the most probable number. The physical parameters like the conductivity, total dissolved solids were determined using the conductivity meter. Total hardness and alkalinity were determined using the titrometric method too as well. The chemical parameter analysis, phosphates, nitrates, sulfates, nitrites, fluoride, and chloride were determined using ion chromatography method. Potassium and sodium parameters of samples were determined using the flame photometric method. Now let's go to the result aspects. So the bacteriological analysis of the sachet water samples as depicted in the table 2 below. We don't have the paper here, so maybe I'll just put it on the screen for you to see. So overall, 50% of the brands sampled recorded total and fecal coliform counts. 50% of the brands sampled recorded total and fecal coliform counts. These brand samples include ANG, NOV, IM, PD, and DKN. These are the 50%. That is, in all, they were able to sample 10 brands. The 10 brands belong to 10 samples. You get me? Like the 10 brands belong to 30 samples. So in all, they sampled 30 sachet water. Out of the 30 sachet water, they had 10 brands of them, and 50% of the 10 brands, that is 5 of them, of the brands, were fraught with total coliform, fecal coliform, and one of the brands, which is DKN, was highly fraught with Escherichia coli. Now this Escherichia coli are normally found in the gut, which help in digestion and a whole lot of things, beneficial things in our system. Now if these bacteria which are found in our system are found in these water bodies and also in our food, then they become injurious. The moment you change their habitat from the gut into water, they become injurious to our health, and that is something that we should take critical look at. So 50% of the brands of the sample recorded total and fecal coliform count, which is very alarming. These brand samples, I've already mentioned them. So if you take DKN for example, it had 9.15 times 10 to the power 5. So which I've already explained it in the abstract that the total coliform were 915,000 per 100 ml. So if you want to know the total amount of bacteria in the 500 ml, that is the one sachet water, you just multiply it by 5 and you are getting 4,575,000 bacteria in just one sample of sachet water belonging to the brand DKN. So these are the initials. So if you are in tech and you know the initial of this water brand, yeah, you can check it out for yourself and save yourself. So 500 ml, one sachet water contains 4,575,000. Then it also had total coliform. So total coliform is what I've mentioned. It also had fecal coliform. Now the fecal coliforms are the coliforms which are found in our feces, and if they are found in our feces, what business do they have in the water that we drink or in the food that's what we consumed? So they found that the fecal coliforms of these bacteria amounted to 1,150,000 in the 500 ml, but in the 100 ml, that is from the result, they had 2.3 times 10 to the power 5 colony per 100 ml. So if you want to search for the entire 500 ml, just multiply by 5, which you are getting 1,150,000 of fecal with bacteria. And this DKN, which was the only brand of sachet water which had Escherichia coli, it had 4.0 times 10 to the power 4 colony counts per 100 ml. So in the 500 ml, they constituted 200,000 E. coli. 200,000 E. coli. Now it is like this: the universal set is the total coliform. Out of the universal set, you have the subset, which is the fecal coliform, and the subset of the subset is the E. coli. So we have the total coliform, then we move smaller to the fecal coliform, then the smaller to the E. coli. So there is no way the E. coli count will be greater than the fecal coliform. There is no way that the fecal coliform will be greater than the total coliform. You get me? So the entire bacteria in the water samples for DKN was 4,575,000 per 500 ml. Then the total coliform was 1,150,000. Then the E. coli was 200,000. So in all, you are drinking like 4 million bacteria in you as a human being, and you can think of the consequences that this is going to have in your life as an individual. So the pH that these people were able to analyze from all the 30 water samples range from 5.86 to 8.03, 5.86 to 8.03, which I think is not very good, because if you check the WHO guidelines for pH in water, it should range from 6.5 to 8.5, which means that the 5.86 is within the acidic region. So if you take the pH scale, it's ranging from 0 to 14, 7 being the middle, representing neutrality, and below 7 you are entering the acidic region, above 7 you are going to the basic region. So if the samples having pH of 5.86, it means they are in the acidic region. It means students are drinking water which are very acidic, and that too has its own effects. It has its own connotations too as well. So 40% of the sachet water samples recorded pH values outside the recommended range of 6.5 to 8.15. 40% of the samples did not meet the pH qualification of good quality drinking water, and 50% of the samples who did not meet the quality of water, in that they were all fraught with what? Fecal coliform, that were bacteria. Let's move to the discussion. So in the discussion aspect of this research, the researchers adduced that 50% of the sachet water samples were highly contaminated with total and fecal coliform. And I just gave you one example of the sachet water brand, which is DKN, that it was fraught with 4,575,000 bacteria per 500 ml. So this is very alarming to our health. This research was actually conducted by Ghanaians, by English people, and by Kenyans. So you should know that there was no any bias in the research per the source or per the identity of these researchers. So Bismarck Elom Ado from the Department of Chemistry, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology Ghana, Godfred Amankwa, School of Geography and the Environment, University of Oxford, UK, and Razak MJC, African Population and Health Research Center, Nairobi, Kenya. These are the three researchers, and they adduced that 50% of the brand of sachet water that they analyzed were fraught with total coliforms and fecal coliforms. This invariably means that some of the sachet water samples were infused with disease-causing organisms, rendering them unsafe for drinking. In addition, the samples from one of these coliform pervaded brand was again contaminated with E. coli, which is the brand DKN, which was the only brand of sachet water which had E. coli in them, Escherichia coli. And this Escherichia coli, as explained earlier on, that it is found in our gut, in our stomach, in our intestine. Now, if it finds its way in the water that you are drinking or in the food that you are consuming, then chances are that they have been contaminated with feces. Like, that is the simple explanation for that, because what is in your stomach, when it comes out, it shouldn't be found in the water that you are drinking. So if it is found in the water that you are drinking or in the food that you are eating, then it means that the water, the food that you are eating has been contaminated with feces. So in addition, the samples from one of these coliform pervaded brands were again contaminated with E. coli count, which is contrary to the zero tolerance benchmark for safe drinking water. So World Health Organization have explicitly stated, as well as FDA and Ghana Standard Authority, that water, quality drinking water, should be free from bacterial contamination. They should have zero tolerance for any kind of bacteria. So if you find any kind of bacteria in the water that you are drinking, that water is highly unsafe for drinking. E. coli in water samples is regarded as the most sensitive indicator of fecal coliform, of fecal pollution. So the moment that you see E. coli in your water that you are drinking, it means that that water has been polluted with feces, and it means that you are drinking people's feces, which is something that you should take a critical look at. Its presence in the samples of sachet water consumed by university students is a major health concern and calls for rigorous remedial attention. The presence of this pathogen in the samples was an indication of the likely presence of other enteric pathogens. So what these researchers are saying, that the fact that we have had E. coli presence in this water sample is an indication that there are also other enteric pathogens. There are other bacteria which are also found in our gut, having their way into the water that these university students at KNUST are drinking. The results of these researchers showed that relatively high bacteria-induced contamination than 18% score reported in Accra, Ghana, which means that the results that these researchers are having, they were 18% score higher than those which were reported in Accra, Ghana. The presence of total and fecal coliforms in sachet water can be linked to a number of factors, such as the raw water source used, unhygienic practices observed during production, improper storage in unhygienic and high temperature conditions, and the failure of producers to use sophisticated disinfection process against bacterial regrowth. So these researchers are giving the causes of the contamination of this water that is consumed by university students. One, because of the source of water which are being used by these vendors in the production of sachet water. Two, unhygienic practices during the production of the water itself. Three, improper storage of these sachet bags in unhygienic and high temperature conditions. Now, temperature affects the growth of bacteria. Temperature highly affects the growth of bacteria. If there are high temperatures, the proliferation of the bacteria is highly to increase. And the failure of producers to use sophisticated disinfection processes against bacterial growth, which means that they are not doing much in disinfecting the water and also even the equipment that are being used in the production of sachet water, which is commonly known as pure water in Ghana. So another researcher in 2016 called Addo and the rest, Addo et al., observed the majority of sachet water producers draw their water from hand dug wells. So the source of this water, which is being which is being screened, or which is passing through the water production system, which will then be contained in the sachet water for consumption by humans. What they are saying is that they draw the source comes from hand dug wells, which are either located near latrines or contaminated by runoffs. So these hand dug wells are near latrines or contaminated by runoffs. That is what these researchers are talking about. Also, some manufacturers use uncovered and semi-treated storage tanks, thereby increasing the risk of contamination through avian and reptilian fecal material. So these researchers are adducing that not all of them use hand dug walls. Even those who use the storage tanks, that is the poly tanks, the syntax, and etc., they are using it uncovered. And also these tanks are semi-treated. Even others too are untreated. And because of that, it increases the risk of contamination through avian. When we talk about avian, that is birds. So birds and reptilian with fecal material. So because these storage tanks are not covered, birds, when they are flying over and then they defecate, it may end up in these storage tanks, which then find their way in the sachet water, and then you consume it and it becomes very injurious to your health. Also, reptilian feces. This reptilian fecal material is talking about the wild gecko, the lizard, and co, which are often found around these storage tanks. And so their fecal material also find their way in the storage tanks, and it also causes a lot of health-related waterborne diseases. The possibility of regrowth of microorganisms is greatly increased, considering that the surrounding temperature may be high, as I said earlier on. So high temperatures increases the growth of bacteria. Microorganisms multiply more easily in poor sanitary conditions, leading to possible contamination of sachet water. Although a study in Sierra Leone observed that an increase in concentration of total coliforms may be due to growth of microorganisms already present within the packaged water. So these researchers are also comparing another research which was done in Sierra Leone, that the researchers in Sierra Leone observed that any increase in total coliform count may be as a result that there was already microorganisms which were present in the packaged water. That is why they increased. And these researchers from Ghana, UK, and Nairobi are also saying that because of high temperature and poor sanitary condition, that is why there is proliferation of microorganisms. So their research did not take into account the water quality before packaging, and therefore they can only speculate about this proposition. Their findings suggest that a needful government and other stakeholders intervention to intensify regulatory and surveillance activities and to enforce strict hygienic measures in this rapidly expanding industry to improve the quality of water used by students as well as the general public and vulnerable groups, including older people. The current study found that the pH values for 40% of the samples fell outside the permissible limits, that is the 6.5 to 8.5, which I have explained that the university students are drinking sachet water which are in the acidic region, and which is something that we have to take into consideration. The presence of fecal coliform is the most important indicator for water contamination. This is said by World Health Organization that if you find any water which is contaminated by fecal coliform, it is the most important indicator of water contamination, which means that the water has been contaminated and it is rightly highly unsafe for consumption. This result is consistent with extant studies on water quality. Their investigation did not identify dreadful chemical pollutants such as biphenyls and heavy metals, which may have more hazardous health implications for users. In addition, other chemical parameters were in line with the World Health Organization standard, as well as the Ghana Standard Authority, their standards. With current increases in student enrollment in universities, coupled with the unreliability of other drinking water sources on campus, sachet water would be the only option for students. That is what these researchers are saying. This calls for mindful efforts to balance protection of public health and access to drinking water on university campuses. Furthermore, sachet water producers should be identified, licensed, and properly regulated by the Ghanaian regulatory agencies, namely the Ghana Standards Board and Food and Drugs Authority, to ensure improvement in water quality amid the difficulty in tracking the sachet water. This is partly due to the rapid population growth in the urban regions. So I have brought my presentation to a close. Then there is a conclusion here, which if you are able to get the paper. I'll put a link in the description and the comment section below for you to know, and for you to have the paper yourself for you to read. The physicochemical and bacteriological quality of sachet water used by Ghanaian university students, the implications for public health. So in all, what these researchers are saying is that the sachet water which are being consumed by university students in the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Kumasi, Ghana, are fraught with total coliforms as high as 4,575,000 bacteria per 500 ml, which is the bacteria which was found in one of the brands of sachet water analyzed, DKN, which is of high concern, of high public health concern to individuals, to stakeholders, even to the university, and also to the government of Ghana as well. So let us be mindful of what we consume in as individuals, and for our health is the foundation of everything. If you are sick, you'll not be able to go and do your work, which would also affect the GDP of the country, and also it will cause financial burden to you and your family and the nation. Like, the health is the foundation of everything. So if we lose our health, we have lost a lot. So we should be very mindful of the kind of water that we drink, and even the food that we consume. It has a long way of affecting our health. So this research was done by researchers from the Department of Chemistry, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Bismarck Elom Ado, Godfred Amankwa from the School of Geography and the Environment, University of Oxford, UK, then Razak MJC, who is the corresponding author from African Population and Health Research Center, Nairobi, Kenya. So that is what these researchers have to say. Thank you.